on Facebook. Hold on 1 second. This should be a lot easier than just doing this.
There's nobody watching though.
Probably not. Why would they? Oh, we are live. We're live. Hold on, we have to tell the lads that we're on live. 1 sec. This is all part of the good stuff. Oh, join us live. Right, there you go. All right then. Viewers at home, Sunlun fans. It's me, Degsy, the Sons of Liberty, Sunlun AFC Supporters Group USA President, and I'm joined here by a special guest who is the Sons of Liberty Vice President. That's the first time he's been called special in that context. And let's not mention short buses or not like that. So Graeme has been an integral part of the growth of supporters groups here in North America, to be fair to him, and it's a pleasure to have him on here today. As you're aware, we were supposed to be going live with David Rush. It looks like he's been taking this self-isolation thing to an extreme and has locked himself away in the house, and he maybe have had his electricity turned off. I don't know what's going on, but unfortunately we haven't heard anything from him today, so I'm assuming that everything's okay. So again, just to send positive vibes. I hope all is well, Rushy, and hopefully we can catch up and do something again soon. Along with that, we may or may not have another guest trying to join us as we have a chat here, but we thought we'd take advantage of the situation and introduce you to some of the fans who now live in the States. So, like I said, we have Graeme Pritchard here, who's actually based in Chandler, Arizona. Graeme, thank you for joining us today. Just again, I've got a series of questions for you, and this shouldn't take too long, so you'll be able to get back to your gardening or quilting or embroidering or whatever you're doing. So how can you... Oh, okay. Let me guess. You haven't left the house in days. Funny that. So how long have you actually... Sorry, go on.
Yep, I haven't left the house.
Have you had to go into work?
No. Just working from home.
You're working remotely then? Okay, fair enough.
Which, for me, is not a big deal.
So how long... Would you want to tell people what you do, or are you going to risk getting some hate mail? Just you would say you don't have to say which company you work for. You have to say which company you work for. You could just say I work in
IT.
An airline. He's an air stewardess.
Oh. Yes. Can't you tell? I work for an airline in IT. So yeah, working remotely for me is no big deal. I mean, yeah, I could, laptop and that, that's all I need.
Champion. Right, so get some Sunlun specific questions for you then. So how long have you supported the lads?
I'm 55 years old. I've basically supported Sunlun as long as...
Okay. I know that you have probably the oldest scarf I've ever seen, oldest Sunlun scarf I've ever seen, that's for sure. So where did you get that?
Where did I get that? I can't remember. I mean, it could have been Roker. I could have been over at Roker and bought it there. Yeah.
Oh, well, it is class. I know that everybody tries to steal it off you every time we see it. So, what was do you remember what your first game was at Roker Park and obviously the Stadium of Light as well?
I honestly can't remember. It could be Arsenal. I've seen Arsenal a couple of times. I mean, I certainly remember seeing Arsenal at Roker. Charlie Nicholas was playing for Arsenal, and there was the obvious chant.
Charlie Nicholas.
And I think the only game I've seen at Stadium of Light was against Arsenal as well, and that was the 0. Yeah, but you know what? Both times I think we're 0-0. I think the one at Roker was probably the most boring 0-0 draw I've ever seen.
I know I was with you at the Stadium of Light. That was a excellent game that day, brilliant atmosphere.
Decent game to say it was 0-0, but that was still a decent game.
Yeah, it was. That was 5 years ago, wasn't it? Like to this week, I think.
Aye.
Something like that, anyway. So, all right, that's cool. So, who over your time then? So, who's been your favorite players? Obviously, going back from the 80s through to modern day.
well, 70s. I'll start in the 70s. I mean, it's Jimmy Montgomery. It's just Jimmy Montgomery. That's it. I mean, watched the '73 Cup final so many times. I didn't get to watch the game live, but I watched it. Like match of the day or whatever it was that evening. And yeah, I just loved Jimmy Montgomery right from that moment. What a hero. After
That goes without saying. Like so.
Go on.
No, I'm just saying it goes without saying, obviously, and I know that when we were over there, you had the opportunity to meet with him as well. So, what was that like, meeting your hero?
The cliched starstruck. I mean, I was just in awe. I mean, it was. I really didn't know what to say. It was, and I think a few people, including yourself, commented at the time that I looked as if I was like, it's Jimmy Montgomery. It was just amazing. He's an amazing bloke.
That's all right. I did the same when. He's class. Like I did the same when I met Gabby Dean the year before, so I didn't know what to say though.
Yeah,
it's all right. What about? So that was the 70s. What about in the 80s then?
80s. Yeah, I'm not sure. Well, I mean, obviously, when Gabby Dini was playing, he was. I remember the first game. I was working in London, and me and a mate, we used to go to all the games, and we showed up. We never. I don't think we ever saw the kickoff of a game because we're always in the pub, and it was, all right, we've got time for one more. So we would always arrive at the games late. We got to Fulham, and apparently this was Gabby Dini's second game. And as we're coming out of the tube station, we hear a roar. So we're trying to rush down there with beer sloshing about in our bellies. We get in. Who scored? Gabby Dini. We're going, who? At the time, we had no idea that this guy was playing.
Yeah. No, he was class as well. Okay, so yeah, I'll cover you the back end of the 80s then with him. What about 90s then?
90s. Yeah, it's going to be Kevin Phillips. Yeah, I mean, Kevin Phillips and Mel Quinn. I mean, I thought that was just a fantastic pairing.
Mm-hmm. I would put it on I can't put it apart because it's slightly different, but I used to enjoy obviously watching Gabby Dini and Gates playing alongside each other because they really, I know Gatesy was towards he was in the twilight of his career, but what he brought out of Gabby Dini was absolutely sublime. And they struck a great partnership. I didn't think, personally for me as a fan, I didn't think that I'd see anything like that again. And then obviously along comes this 6 foot, whatever he is, 4 Beanpool. Yeah. Who again had his heyday, dropped down a level. He was injured when we basically played a game and got injured. I think maybe against Forest or someone like that. And then he didn't play for a long period of time. So that was his first season there. And he had a few different strike partners. And then in comes this tiny lad. He appeared to be small, Kevin Phillips, to play alongside him. Yeah. And again, for me, I've never seen a partnership like that at Sunlun. I didn't think that would be able to surpass Gabby Dini Gates in my lifetime, but then to see those guys play. Paul Williams is saying, "Tack your hat off, man. You're in the house," is what he says. I think that's in Scottish. I think especially for you. Oh, your hair's wet. I'm saying no, mine's reflecting the light. So I'm saying that's why I've been wearing my cap the past few weeks. It's just so I didn't blind people at home, So, and then what about to the current team then, or the best? Obviously, we've had let's look at the 2000s as well. So you had Keane and stuff in there as manager, a bit of Reid. We've had a slew of players come through the club. What about in the 2000s? Was anybody who stood out? I know that you did. When did you go down to the Carolinas to watch them do the preseason tour? That was when McCarthy was manager, right?
Yeah, that was Mick McCarthy. That was like 2005? Is that around about then?
Something like that. Yeah, it was around about then. Yeah. What about that squad then? Because that's very well. I was saying it's very different. It's probably pretty similar to what we have today. But what was? I mean, there was any players there that really stood out? I know that you're a big fan of Kevin Kyle.
Aye, sure. Yeah.
No, not really. Okay.
No.
So anybody in that team that stood out for you?
No, I can't. Well, no, I can't really think of anyone in that era that really stood out. No.
Mm-hmm. No, I think we've actually got a message in to Carlos Edwards as well. He was one of the players for me that was pretty good during that time. Obviously, he's remembered for his raking goals, but you go through some of those teams as well. Obviously, you had Dwight York, who dropped back and was playing centre midfield. We had Andy Cole. I'll forget about that for a second. But we had some good players that come through there. So anyway, so I'll talk about the current team then. Is anybody that you like watching? Is anybody who stands out for you? Game changes that we have in the team?
I do like Luke O'Nien. I mean, I think he's, he's one of the players. His heart's in the right place. He seems to give his all. I mean, he looks like he's giving his all. And that's what we like to see.
I think
fans, that's what we like to see.
So there's obviously, I mentioned this when I was talking to Paul Atkinson last week. There's lots of stories going on about Luke where, he's just a genuine lad. But I think watching him and watching how he conducts himself, even with on and off the pitch, with the way he is with the fans and how engaged he is, I think that obviously he could be a prime candidate. If we can hang on to him, he could be a prime candidate for captaincy in the near future. I know he's only a young lad now, but I think he's almost ready for that step. Like I wish he wouldn't go down as easy as he does. Sometimes he is a little bit. I mean, for the size, he's quite a big lad.
Right.
I'm not a fan of players who get touched and fall over and that, but I mean, it's just, I guess, modern game versus what we grew up watching. But no, I agree with Luke.
I think especially in that league as well. I mean, I think you have to play the way that all the other teams play.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
I think in the past there's been quite a few Sunlun sides that haven't done that. They haven't adapted quick enough to the league that they're in.
Mm-hmm. And I agree with you. So current team, and I think that's been part of our problem. I think sometimes it's similar from when we went down the Premier League into the Championship. I think there was a expectation that we would walk that league, and I don't think we adapted our style of play. And again, obviously, like you've alluded to there, we've dropped down another division, and we haven't really, changed our style. I know there's been some encouraging signs, even though our most recent form hasn't been great. There was a patch there where we had looked as though we basically crossed over and started to play better football, or at least play strong competitive football at this level. So I mean, so I want to just kind of digress somewhat as well, and just ask you about, obviously we've had a couple of American lads play for the team over the past, how long would that be? Probably last 15 years, maybe. Right. Who's been your favourite? Obviously, I mean, we've got one current in the team as well, Gucci, and then going back to like the likes of Stefan Schwartz and that playing. You look at Reina. Who's out of the two? Who do you favour?
It's got to be Claudio Reina. I mean, I liked how he played. I liked how he was good. He was a good player. He really helped the side.
Yeah, he was a very good box-to-box midfielder, and I think we've missed that for a long time. Yeah, and I agree with you. I mean, obviously he got all the accolades, very highly recognised at international level as well. It would be nice to have someone like that back in the team. Obviously, I mean, you could probably still do it now. I think he's out in Austin FC right now. I think he's doing so. I know he was at New York City for a while. He's out doing. I think he's doing the same job, some sort of either VP or director of business out there for that new MLS team, Austin, I think. So anyway, I wish him all the best. Okay, so as again, you've seen a ton of games. Most hated player. Who's a player that you hate the most? And I know we go through this, and we've had to talk about this as a group when we get together. Sorry, I just Ian Murphy has just posted here. Americans wear hats indoors, and it infuriates me. Right, Ian, I love that. The worst thing is, the worst thing is Graeme isn't American, nor is he Scottish, believe it or not. So he keeps telling us. I don't know why he gets so upset by that. I have no idea. But I appreciate. He's got a good head of hair on him though. Still, I mean, as I said, I'm a bit jealous. That's class, that, and I love that. I'm not going to ask you what you think of Kyle Lafferty either. But anyway, sorry. Going back to most hated players, right? So we've gone through. We had many discussions at gatherings that we've had. Obviously, we talked about this at the Solic, the independence celebrations in Fort Lauderdale quite a few weeks back now. And we went through a range of players, including Bellamy and Barton and, all that kind of stuff too. Speedy, Batty. There's a ton of players out there. But who in your mind is probably the player that you've hated the most?
Craig Bellamy he's just always up there, I don't know. I just always hated even watched him play. I didn't like him as I just don't like him as a player. I don't know what he's like off the pitch, but I just don't like him. he's just annoying. I mean, you watched him.
I heard he's just as bad.
You watch him on the pitch, and you can see he's trying to wind other players up. He's just annoying. It's plain and simple.
He is. I mean, again though, to be fair, so would you in his prime, would you not have him playing for Sunlun in his prime?
No, I wouldn't.
The hatred is that deep. He said no.
I'm kind of like that. That if I find a player annoying, it doesn't really matter how good he is. I don't want to see him wearing a Sunlun shirt.
That's fair enough, Graeme. So on your travels and over the years, obviously you've visited quite a few different grounds. What's been your best and worst grounds that you've been to?
A bit of a theme with Arsenal here. Highbury was a highlight. I remember being at Highbury to watch Sunlun, and thinking, wow, this is class. Worst. When we're in the third division, went to a bunch of grounds there. Aldershot stands out, right? So there was like the main front of the stadium. I don't know if you would call it a stadium. And then there was the turnstiles, and there was like home and away. And then you walk through, and then there's like two paths, and the paths meet, and you basically walk up to the pitch. Right? So what's the point of segregating home and away when you just meet in the middle, And the away fans, it was just a hill, right? The away fans stood on basically a hill at the far end of the pitch.
Sounds brilliant, that.
Oh yeah, amazing. What a shit place.
It's funny because you think about how long have you been in the States now?
96 since 96.
96. A while then. So you think about some of the stadia, and obviously I know your son played collegiate football as well, soccer.
Yeah.
Sorry, football to us. And you think about some of the college stadiums, and you think about some of the high school stadiums.
Yeah.
And it's crazy because when we go back home and see the state of some of the grounds that you go to, it's they really are spoiled over here with what they have. As I say, I coached at high school, and they had it was an 8,000 seater stadium at high school level, and again, obviously it was all pristine, beautiful, which is nuts. And then obviously you go to collegiate level, if they're playing some of the big stadiums there, it's up to 120,000 seater, which is nuts. I know the football doesn't get that kind of crowds, but it's just absolutely nuts. And again, the amount of money that they pump into athletics over here is just it's just crazy. And for me, the amount of facilities and the access they have to, world-class coaches, because they have the money to do it. Mm-hmm. The US should be the best at all sports, because again, they've got the money to do it. They don't necessarily have the right infrastructure, but it's just interesting to say, going back to the stadiums thing, how you just go to a high school game and it's packed, and it's 8,000 seater stadium for a high school. It's nuts. And again, obviously better than better than a lot of the grounds that they have, in the lower levels, specifically in the UK, but still, all the shot. So I've got to go back, and I've got to ask you now about the current state of the club. I know this is a kind of a political situation. There's the jury's out. There's a lot of people pro Stuart Donald. There's a lot of people anti-Stuart Donald or anti-Stuart Donald. And there's a lot of stuff that's gone on. I know that we have worked together historically and done stuff with the club, and we have a different relationship with the owners based on, as I said, not trying to drag this out, or what's gone on in the past. But I'm just interested to think about overall where we're at as a club, and what do you think that we? I mean, some stuff's obvious, but what do you think that we need to get ourselves back to where where the club or the infrastructure of the club set up to be, which is, of course, it's set up to be a Premier League team. I'm not saying that we are Premier League standard, which we're not, but we really are a Premier League team playing in League One, and that's part of the problem that we have. If we're attracting big crowds, you've got to have the staff to facilitate the needs. But obviously, it's all in this massive cycle. Anyway, so long question. So what do you think we need to? What do you think of the current state, and where do you think we need to go in order for us to get back into the Premier League?
I think we need more stability, right? So we need an owner who's looking long term. I really don't think that Stuart Donald came into this thinking long term. I think he came in thinking, okay, I can come in here. It'll be quick. We're supposed to get promoted that very first season, and I think he was hoping to just turn a quick profit right there, right then. He wasn't thinking about long term at all. So I honestly think that. Obviously, it didn't happen. We're still in League One, and I think he's struggling. I think he's out of his depth. I've heard that mentioned. I agree with that sentiment as well. That I think he's out of his depth with the level of the club that he's got now. He's. And I've heard a few people saying, well, he did okay with us, and yes, he stabilised things. He's undoubtedly got us on a better financial footage than we were at before he came in, but he still doesn't know what to do, right? And I think he's still struggling with that. So we need.
I know he's appointed a few other
in long term.
So I know he's appointed a few other people to come on board with us on the committee to really help facilitate that. For me, I just hope that they're the right people to do it. So there's some of the lads on there who obviously are Sunlun through and through, and what's best for the club. But going back to your point, I think one of the other things is that obviously the financial resources or the lack thereof available, and that's been out by the transfer market, the players that we have brought in, how much we've spent. Again, if you look at them, some of the players we've brought in, we've done pretty well. Others have just been absolutely dire. And it's always a risk that you take, really. So moving on, how do you see us going forward, and how do you think that we could get ourselves back to that level? I mean, because it's not looking so good right now.
It's not looking good right now. I still think we need a new owner that's going to come in and look long term. Look at the potential that the club obviously has. We have the potential to get back up and be back in the Premier League, but not with the current situation, not with the way things are right now. I don't think it'll happen. I think even if we did get promoted to the Championship, under the current owners, we'd struggle.
Yeah, it's like, as you said before, long-term solutions rather than I get that. I get putting the effort in and what happened last year and trying to get us into the Championship. And I think that if Stuart was looking to sell the club, which it was suggested that he was, if we had got promoted, maybe we would have had some investment. But under the current guys, I can't see us even staying up in the Championship. So even though we got promoted, if things remained as they are, we would really struggle. And I think that I think a lot was hinging on us going up last year. And obviously we don't know how this league's going to pan out now. And there's suggestions that there could be games starting in May, June to try and get this completed. There's been others saying, obviously, there's other leagues that have said that they're just done with that. I mean, so you think about like Ajax out in Holland. They've been told that their league's done now, so they can't win. I don't know how what the implications are for the Champions League moving forward. But obviously, there's other countries have already made decisions about suspending leagues, actually cancelling the league as it is, or forfeiting it. And that would be a travesty to us, obviously, because we're in with a shout of being promoted. We're still in there, and I mean, you look at other divisions too. Obviously, there's a lot of teams that are on the cusp of playoff positions that obviously would like the season to continue. There's those teams that are, again, the opposite end of the table that obviously are dead and buried. So I mean, it's interesting to see. You think about the likes of Bolton. Do they obviously they started off? Does it mean next year, if the league is suspended or cancelled, do they then start with the points deficit that they had this year again? There's all sorts of ramifications of not completing the league this year. And actually, I'm one of the few that actually feel sorry for Liverpool being that far clear, and there's no. They should just give them it, but you can't just give them it. Because they're that far ahead. Technically, they could still finish second. I get that, but it's a travesty for them. So they've had a fantastic season. Right, I want to just a couple of things. So obviously, we had our first independence celebrations in Fort Lauderdale a few weeks back, like I mentioned. Fantastic time was had by all. Graeme, you're playing host to the 2021. These years are flying over. 2021 Sons of Liberty Independence celebrations, and they'll be held in Phoenix, Arizona. And we actually have Kevin Ball coming over from the UK as a guest speaker for that weekend. So I don't know if you want to just give the listeners at home kind of an overview of what they expect, and basically a little bit about Phoenix. Just try and you have to put your like tourist guide voice on or whatever it is you do. I don't know. I'm not suggesting you get dressed up or out. It's not Friday anyway, so you're all right with that. But I would just give us a little bit of information on Phoenix and what to expect at the independence celebrations.
Well, so you've got Phoenix, you've got the kind of downtown area of Phoenix, and then you've got what the class is like the metropolitan area of Phoenix. So you've got like satellite cities. Obviously, each of the cities has expanded to a point where you're driving between, say, Chandler, Tempe, Phoenix, and it's the only way you can tell is from the signage on the roads to say, okay, you're now in Phoenix, or you're now in Tempe, or you're now in Chandler. Each of those areas, so Tempe, Arizona, is where the ASU campus is, Arizona State. So there's plenty of bars, breweries, places to eat, in that area. Same with downtown Phoenix. Chandler as well as so a lot of these places were like separate cities, right? And they've each got their own little kind of downtown area, and that's the kind of main basis for where the kind of restaurants, bars, breweries, and that are. Over the past few years, there's been, and I don't know what it's like in other places, but certainly in and around Phoenix, there's been just a massive fleet of these kind of smaller breweries that have started up. How many will survive the current situation? I don't know, but I'd like to see a bunch of them, still be around at this point next year. But yeah, there's just loads of places to choose from. So I think it'll be great.
So obviously, we normally take in a match. Then tell us a bit about Phoenix Rising.
Phoenix Rising, yeah. So they did have. His name's escaping me at the moment. He was one of the owners, and he was playing.
Drogba.
Yeah, Didier Drogba. So he was a big draw initially. Although I think, I guess without trying to sound racist, because of the number of Hispanic people in and around Phoenix, you always get decent soccer crowds. There's a big fan base. And with the draw of Didier Drogba, I don't know how many of the Americans really knew what he'd done in his career before going along to watch him. But he was certainly a big name. So and they've had 2 or 3 really successful seasons. Getting to the final. Certainly the past 2 seasons, right?
I think they won it last year, didn't they?
Was that last year?
I think so. I think they won it last year.
Yeah.
So again, just for those who never attended these events before, And just picking up on what Graeme said there, we obviously try and tie in. It's just part of our, I guess, mantra as the Sons of Liberty. You know, we really are a group that value like camaraderie, and we've got a good group of people. Obviously, we are more social than not. So, you know, the city tours generally are in and amongst the bars of the area where we sample a few of the local wares. But obviously, we do throw in a match as well. So I know we've been to a lot of different places over the years. Unfortunately, because of COVID-19, we were due to see Inter Miami play the LA Galaxy, which would have been their first game of the season there. That was, we looked forward to that, but we unfortunately didn't happen. So, but obviously, we're looking forward to getting over to Phoenix next year, or next year, and then obviously taking in the Phoenix Rising game. So that should be pretty cool. I'm just going to. There was a couple of comments on here as well, Graeme. I just thought we'd share them with you. Derek from Orlando has asked if you have any Scotch tape in your stationery cupboard, or it's just called tape apparently. Just tape to you. And then your mate Michael, is it Tears or Tedders, said get them to the shop. The shop. That must be a place where that is.
The shop is one of the breweries. It's popular place.
Isn't there a pasty shop there as well somewhere?
Yeah,
somewhere sells pasties.
There's actually several. So there's one like right near. That's where we went yesterday for dinner. But you know, you just go pick it up. But yeah, it's like less than a mile from here. Cornish pasty.
Cornish pasties, get in there. We like some of that. So I mean, as I said, and throw in Borley on top of that as well. Who's super excited about coming across. We're expecting to have a decent event, and we're hoping, obviously, this is open to all Sunlun supporters across the world. It doesn't matter where you are, or any affiliation or anything like that. If you want to join us, please feel free. As I said, we had a really good crowd in Fort Lauderdale, and a good time was had by all. Not that many people remember it, I think, although I appeared to sleep the entire weekend, so which was good. Couple of other things before we head out. We've been running some charitable work for Feeding America. Obviously, COVID-19's devastated the States and everything across the world as well. And there's a record number of people seeking unemployment over here now. There's a online charity called Feeding America, which we've basically saddled up with. And if any donations, welcome. $5, $20, $500, whatever you can spare. This money basically goes to help feed those families that basically have no money for food or anything. So obviously, as I said, I can't remember how many people now are filed for unemployment and stuff. It's just gone through the roof because of what been going on. So please feel free. It's awful. It's just awful. So Val Nichols, hello Val. She's asking when the dates are for Phoenix. Val, we haven't set them yet, but it'll be in March sometime. So March, April, early April, that kind of thing. But we'll check in with you as well to make sure that you're around. So don't worry about that. And what else do we have to say? Oh, important thing, very important PSA announcement, right? Don't drink bleach.
Yep.
I'll leave it at that. Yep. Unbelievable. One last other thing as well. Ruben Agbula, his best mate, Cuzzy. I just wanted to send congratulations to him. Cuzzy's got released from hospital yesterday. He's successfully beaten the coronavirus. So he actually did all the ICU and everything. So congratulations. And again, I know he's still got a long way to go, but we wish him all the very best on his recovery. And last but not least, Deck has just reminded me, who's on next week? Give it a plug. Well, I just kind of did. We've got Ruben Agbula coming in next week. Those who haven't spoken to Ruben before, very, very charming individual. He's played with some fantastic players at Sunlun, has a great story to tell. Also played for Nigeria as well back in the 90s. So that he's got some good stories and good crack for that as well. So please join us next week. This following week, we've got some, again, we've got to catch up, I think, 89, 90 season review on Wednesday. And then on the Saturday, we'll be showing the Sunlun versus Manchester United game. from Roker Park in 1990. That was our second home game that season. So I'm not, those who haven't seen it, I won't spoil it for you. It's a fantastic game to watch. And Ruben plays in that song as well as Tony Norman, Gary Bennett, Gabby Daney, all those guys as well. Will there be a kilt day in Phoenix in honor of our host? I think we should have a kilt day in Phoenix, absolutely. And for those that don't know, we wear these what are called tricorn hats as well. It's the full-on Sons of Liberty historical, not red and white striped flag thing going on. So those of you that don't know about the Sons of Liberty, please check it out. As again, there's a lot of tie-in with what we have here with Rose Against Tyranny and all this kind of stuff as well. A lot of it tongue-in-cheek, but you'll see if I move my head some out. There it is there, the big snake. Dinner treading us like. And then the 6 stars, which represent the amount of times that we've won top flight honours. And some people suggest that it's for the 6th in a row for Newcastle too. So anyway, Graeme, thank you very much for your time. I really appreciate this was supposed to be a 5-minute chat. We've probably gone on for about 40 minutes, I reckon. So not like me, I know. But thank you for your time. Everybody at home, stay safe. Hope you're all staying healthy. Don't drink bleach, like I said. And really have a great week. And we'll hopefully you'll join us next week. Take care, guys. Thanks a lot, Graeme.
All right.
See ya.